So here we go. I guess by now we should probably master this, no excuses. So here we are, October 1st already now. First thing I'm going to say, it's October 1st. What should that mean to you guys?
We are doing January's business starting now.
Yeah, we have a very, very short fuse to get business into 2020. And I trust you have something in your planning, in your schedule already for business planning for 2021. Because obviously everything like a roll of toilet paper, when things get closer to the end, they seem to go by faster. So probably you're looking at maybe mid-November might be the last time you can probably get something under contract and closed. That's one thing. So already we're into the last quarter, and you should be thinking about 2021. So obviously it's happening very fast. Right now, I'm going to give you, let you know the October schedule. Bold October starts the 20th of October, and that will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll have a different schedule when we get into Bold October, because you know I'm a Bold coach and I have to monitor or be on or whatever, and I don't want to offer anything that would conflict with that. Is there anybody here on the call right now that is already signed up for Bold October or plans on signing up?
I'm signed up.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm signed up.
I'm signed up.
You sign up today, it's $79. You sign up tomorrow, it's $99. If you haven't already, I've got some new people on here. So if you guys haven't already, please go to my YouTube channel. This is my Facebook page, Denny Grimes Mastermind, because I'm going to show you, I'm going to be talking about the outcomes, the 3 outcome sheet here a little bit, and pricing. Are you guys in most of your markets, are you guys struggling to maintain a decent listing inventory? Would that be a yes?
One more time, Denny.
Are you? How many of you guys are in a seller's market and inventory is tight? Just gonna give me a thumbs up. Awesome, I get it. Okay, that's all over the place. Point number 1 I'm going to talk about is, what is your commitment to self-mastery? Keller Williams has a class, and I'm not sure who wrote this. It might be Gary Keller, the 6 personal perspectives. And the very first one is commitment to self-mastery. So as we think about the last quarter of the year, and the thing we want to make sure we do is finish strong so we can start fast, I want you to write down one thing that you would like to do better in the last quarter of the year so you can carry that habit forward in 2021. What would be one thing that you would like to I'm going to call master, or at least begin the process to master? I want everyone to write something down. Let's have a quick conversation about this. So I'll take 2 or 3 of you guys, and if you want, you can chat, or it's just better, just unmic yourself. You guys we got a small group here today. Somebody list what they wrote down. I mean, say what they wrote down on the list.
Time management.
All right, I heard market. Was that market what?
Market to my farm.
All right, market to my farm. Awesome. Somebody said something about time, right?
Yes, I want to master my time management.
And you add me to that.
Is that another one? Anybody write that down? Because that's
Yep.
probably the number 1 thing that people write down. They want to get a better handle on their schedule. And here's anybody write anything else down other than those 2? Time management and market to farm.
Improve scripts. Improving my script.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, now make my heart go pitter patter. Yes, all right, because that's our class here. So we'll be talking about that. So let's take that one. Let's take the script class, and we can do any of them. And let's brainstorm just for a second. We're getting some static somewhere, so just watch your computer. If you wanted to master your script, what might you want to master? What would be the steps we would work on in order to master that? And there's more than one answer. So let's just get a plan together for everyone to start moving forward, because typically typically on Tuesdays, we do mostly scripts, almost all scripts. Thursdays, I give you a little tidbit of knowledge and scripts. So that's kind of the difference in classes. So let's take, if you want to get better at scripts, what's one thing that you might want to do?
Take Denny's class.
Practice.
All right.
Role play with objections.
Right. Well, keep going. You're on a roll.
Make it a habit.
Make it a habit. All right. Keep going.
Rip partner.
Partner. Okay. And that's also equals accountability. I hope you're making notes. What else?
Talk to people. Practice.
Yeah, I got practice already. Oh, you mean actually put it to practice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Take notes where you find yourself getting objected the most, where you feel like, oh, this is where I keep on getting stuck on a conversation.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And there's that. You made me think of something I hadn't thought about yet. There's something else along that same lines. What might it be?
The way you present yourself.
Yes, and I discovered this, and my wife and I did a class yesterday, and I was watching game film. Now, if you've ever, most people, including me, really don't like to listen to, I don't really like to listen to me after I'm done. I'll be super critical. Does anybody understand what I'm talking about? However, when I started, when I had to do the class the second time, and I thought, I am going to be very intentional about getting better. Same thing I'm talking about here. I'm going to commit to self-mastery. So I went back, got the recording, and started listening to it. And was it painful? Yes, it was. One thing became glaring. I talked about that today in my 8:30 role play class with my 8:30 role play class with my team. I found that I have something I say all the time that probably would drive people crazy that I didn't know I did. Now, can you imagine when you actually get serious about something and you take notes, like you said, and all these other things that are awesome, and if you record yourself and listen to yourself, it's kind of like if you're into sports, for example, because I like to talk about sports, and this just happened. My stepdad was a good golfer, and I kind of been around a golf course a long time in my life and played enough. And people always ask me, you know, I was good enough to play, not great, because I worked all the time. And people asked me what my handicap was, and I said, well, being in real estate was my handicap because I just worked a lot and didn't play golf all the time. Anyway, I didn't play for the longest time, and so my wife had this big deal at Top Golf when she had her business planning clinic just a week or so ago in Scottsdale. We went to Top Golf, and she had a golf pro there, and I played like a couple weeks ahead before that, and I was just awful. I mean, I just wanted to get off the golf course. And she said, well, here, go back. And she went back with her phone and did this video. Now, here's my point. Long story to get to the point. Can you imagine how when you get perspective from someone else and then you watch yourself in that process, how it can be enlightening and embarrassing and like, oh my gosh. I had gotten into a weird position and didn't even know it. Is it possible for us in real estate, particularly when it talks about scripts or time management or whatever, we're kind of in that same awkward, ridiculous position, and we're not aware of what to do. We are aware we're not hitting the numbers we want to hit. So can you see the value in going through this? If you really want to get serious about it, is to maybe follow these steps and even go back and listen to yourself. Role play. In fact, that's why when you go to my YouTube channel, Denny Delivers. Denny Delivers YouTube. Sorry, I will write these things down. That is my deal. All of these classes are recorded, and I have one gentleman that's on calls a lot, and he goes back and listens to them all the time, and he's really finding himself getting better. So all of that is good stuff. Oh, by the way, the thing that I want you to help me with, that my little go-to phrase all the time, you know, I don't say or things like that all the time. That's not my bad habit. I do have a bad habit, and I say, well, here's the thing. So help me be accountable. I am attempting to break the tobacco habit, similarly a tobacco habit of saying, here's the thing. So if you hear that, just kind of like say something. When I did the class yesterday, I was very purposeful about not saying, here's the thing. At the end of the class, I thought, awesome, I got through it. I don't think I ever said it once. And I had asked my wife, who was on the other Zoom, to keep track. Guess how many times I said it in a 2-hour class? 17. Totally unaware. So all of these things right here are great things. Now we could go into, and I'm not going to right now, I'm going to make a point here in a second and go on to the next thing I want to talk about. If you want to take notes, practice, role play, make it a habit, get an accountability partner, actually go and put it to practice, take notes, and then listen to yourself. Those are all great things. However, for you to do those things, something must come first. What is it?
Commitment.
Yes. You're going to have to be committed. Then if you're going to be committed, what has to happen before that or after that?
Time block.
Boom. Time block, which takes you back to what? What you guys were saying a minute ago. I want to get better at my time and self-management, right? Here is my aha after teaching BOLD 4 years, and we have to teach the 6 personal perspectives. Everything, if you want to master, must start with a commitment to your time block. Now, how many people do, you can go thumbs up and we won't stare at you long, are pretty good at time block and you just don't honor it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Vern? So here's the thing. See there? I just did it. I caught myself that time. That is the beginning of change. I don't know what to say now because that's always my bridge phrase. If we want to get better at time management, we want to get better at commitment, there's one thing that must happen before that. This is the zygote. This is the beginning of change. This is the beginning of actually having a huge life. Does anyone want to risk at what that might be? I see you're on, Sebastian. You've probably been around this enough. You know what it is when you hear it. However, will anyone say the word?
Self-realization?
If yes. Well, actually, I'm going to say that you're you're using a different word. The word I want to use and have you memorize is mindset. You cannot manage time unless you believe you can manage time. And you can't manage time anyway. It's just about managing yourself. We must have the mindset of our commitment to mastery. And this thought came to me here just a little ago. And Sebastian, I'm glad you're on the call because I'm going around right now in attempting to help team leaders get their agents excited about Bold October, which again, Bold October is very important because you finish strong, start strong. And as you can imagine, agents, I'm hearing this from Sebastian, the agents are kind of like, well, I'm tired. I don't know. I'm wore out. Too many Zoom calls, right? Sebastian, am I not telling the truth?
That's how it is.
And you guys might be feeling that too. That's why I want to take a few minutes of this time today to say, I tell you what, if you don't want to have anything to do with Zoom calls, or real estate or Keller Williams, why don't you go watch that Michael Jordan series of films? What's it called? The Last Dance or something like that? My wife has watched that twice and vicariously I've seen it about 3/4 of the way. Now there's a gentleman, and you guys said it a minute ago, that had a commitment to excellence in his mindset and it led to the behaviors. Did he care if he was tired? No. Did he care if basically, that he had to go and play a full game and then he would stay around and shoot free throws after that? Did he care when he saw other people around him on his team that were just dogging it and not putting everything in? No. Yes, he did care. And you know what? That was his high standards. And somehow I want to be able, and you can give me some feedback for you people that invested your time on this call. There's something you want to be better at, And then if you want to be better at it, whether it be playing the piano or taking listings or just being a parent, it takes a commitment of time and for you to basically be purposeful about what you do with those times. I mean, Elton John started with chopsticks until his fingers bled. And he kept go back. When you watch these professionals, they're always practicing their craft. They don't get, oh, I'm too tired. No, we cannot earn salaries like professional athletes and musicians can earn with that attitude. And it must go back to mindset. I'll stop. I'm not preaching. I'm just, things matter. What are you guys hearing me say?
It's the compound effect. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and the stronger you become at whatever it is you're doing.
You're right. It's the domino effect, isn't it? That's a compound effect. So here's my bow on this little session here, commitment to self-mastery. The time is the only thing we have. And so something happened today that made me want to talk a little bit about this with you guys, and that's this. So we have made a commitment on our team of script practice and role play, and I'm on it most of the time because this is my gig. I love doing it from 8:30 to 9. My director of growth leads it. You've probably heard me say this before. It is the most, if you are on a team or if you have a team, or Sebastian, you know, you're a team leader, the most impactful thing that we can do with our people is have that time with them. Help them understand the commitment to time block to be on there. Now, does anybody know what the Hawthorne effect is? You can Google it. The Hawthorne effect is really fast, as they did this study in the factory a number of years ago, where they went into a factory and they had these technicians or scientists with the white labs on and the clipboards. And what they would do is they would turn the lights brighter, make them brighter, change the bulbs, and then they would measure worker output. And they would go back in and make the lights brighter, and they'd change, and they'd measure workers' output. And you know what the output did? Over time, it started to grow. And they found that very interesting. Every time they went back 3 or 4 times and changed the level of illumination, production went up. What would you conclude from that? Anybody?
People will work better with brighter lights.
Absolutely. However, they decided to reverse it. They went back and then changed the bulbs back and started to make them dim. Guess what happened? Production went up. Every time they went back and dimmed the lights, production went up. The Hawthorne effect is this. It had nothing to do with the lighting. It had everything to do with someone was paying attention to what they were doing, and they felt what they were doing was meaningful. So if you guys want to get better at real estate, find yourself. If you're in leadership, get these people around you, help them understand their commitment to basically, and what Gary says, practice and role play is one of the top 5 things. People will see that you care. And I can tell you that that experience has really brought our team together. And we learn, and I learn, and it's an awesome thing, you guys. However, it takes the commitment, and this is what led me, and I promise I'll be done. There were like 3 people from my team not on today. And I asked Sonny, my director of growth, text him. We're already on. We have some guests coming in, right, from other areas because they're hearing what we're doing. I had 3 of my own team members not there, and so, well, I had a seller on the phone, or I had an offer I was writing, blah blah blah. And here's the thing. I understand sometimes things happen. We have to be a little bit flexible when you talk about your commitment to self-mastery. However, Gary says nothing should get in the way of your 20% unless it's a red light issue. You should not let the business you already have choke you from doing your lead generation activities or your preparation activities. So I kind of, say my expectations from my team is that we have an appointment from 8:30 to 9, show up for practice and role play. And I'm encouraging you in your time block, and if you happen to be a Rain Man, or if you happen to be on a team, or if you need an accountability partner, I would make that commitment, because when you make that commitment, just 30 minutes a day to practice and role play, that is a step towards the commitment to self-mastery. When you get up in the morning, the most important thing you do, because there is a compounding effect, is start with positive affirmations. What are you doing that's positive? You're going to think I'm crazy. I'm just going to tell you this. I'm not doing it for any other reason. Well, it won't matter. You'll think I'm crazy. There was a time I was in such a rhythm, and then when COVID hit and I'm home more, and because I was traveling, I was out of rhythm. I like to get up early. I'm not a night owl. I like to get up early. And so I've trained myself, and I finally found the perfect rhythm for me. When I get up, then I go through my exercises, and I get home, and I, get cleaned up, blah, blah, blah. I've got, they had a book about that, the perfect morning or something like that. The pathway to commitment of self-mastery is very boring, because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's what gets me, Sebastian, about these people that said, "Bold, well, I don't know what I want to. I've done it before." Crap! Are you kidding me? One has to put themselves into that position where they're doing it until they master it. So my challenge to you is that I want you to be committed to mastering something. Begin the process of mastering your schedule. If you want to master scripts, you're going to have to work on scripts as well as a schedule. If you want to master anything else, you're going to have to basically eventually master your schedule, and your mindset. So that's what I wanted to share with you today that was not script related. Any comments on that, you guys?
That's awesome, Denny. I also want to listen to it. So it's important to have a coach and somebody that it's really being a stand for you. And you do that a lot for us. It's very impressive, everything that you do, and check on us that we are back to commitment. So just like Michael Jordan had a coach, you are our coach. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, Sebastian. Love you guys over there in Miami. Okay, so let's go into something. I want to talk about pricing for a little bit. Is that okay?
Yes.
Does anybody have, okay, so what would you like to know? What would you like to master right now and work on mastering when it comes to pricing?
We don't set price, we set expectations.
There's somebody who's been on my class. That's awesome. So who would like to look at this graph for a moment? Because I want to spend a little bit of time on the outcome sheet, just a little, because I want you guys to know and be able to, for those that are new on the class, you don't even have the 3 outcomes. This is how I evaluate the market. You have basically the yellow line is a price line. Every property then has a top market value. That's the green line. Now, and then if you had a bottom axis, that could be time. So if the green line is top market value right now, would that line be slanted upward? Would it be flat, or would it be going downward? In today's market, it would be tilted upward, because we're having it's a seller's market, prices are going up. So as time moves on, top market value is inching up. What I want you to understand and write down here, one of the first pillars of understanding the market is this. When you talk about the market, there's no one market as we know, because Philadelphia is different than Chicago and different than San Francisco. So we know geography plays a role in that. Also, you guys, segmentation from a pricing plays a role in that. So when you're going out there looking for these listings, attempting to build your listing inventory, I want you to understand that basically all 3 markets, buyer's market, seller's market, and the equilibrium market, normally coexist in the same geographic area. For example, and you can think about your marketplace. Right now, I live in Fort Myers in a master plan community. And believe it or not, out in San Francisco, you guys won't believe this. Probably our sweet spot in our market is 300 and down. Our median sales price just hit 300 in Lee County. Normally, it's been about 250 to 260. It's just risen to about 300,000. So what that means is that's the bread and butter market. In where I am right now, when you get above $700,000 or $800,000, the $1 million plus market where I am in my little farm area, well, little is 5,000 homes. It's very, very slow to move, because if you had a cup of water, you guys, the way the market works is that when the water goes up to a certain level, it automatically spills over. That's physics. In real estate, when a price range gets too high for a particular type of home, size of home, location of home, it will spill over. And you see this all the time when someone builds an outlier, a house that's too big, way over improved for a neighborhood, they don't get all their money back. Why? Because if they're going to spend that much money, they'll go somewhere else. So understand, when somebody asks you how the market's doing, I want you to understand or even answer them, well, it depends. Because you might be talking to a potential seller that has an outlier property, and not everyone is in this multiple offer market. I'm going to stop right there. And is there any questions, any comments on that? Okay.
Well, I'll give you the comment.
Okay.
I've always used the answer, it depends. It depends on where you are. It depends on your price point, depends on your neighborhood. It depends, where things are happening. So that always works, starts the conversation, and a very fruitful conversations 99% of the time.
Thank you for that. It's just like if you're driving by the football stadium and you hear the crowds when there are crowds, and you wonder, well, who's having a good time over there in the ball game? It's fourth quarter. It's like, in fact, the game just let out. You're seeing everybody leave the stadium. How's people feeling? What would be the right answer?
Depends.
Yeah. If you're a Cardinals fan, you're not feeling so good, right?
Correct.
Right now, Brady's doing pretty good in Tampa. Drive by the hospital. How are people feeling? Depends on what floor they're on. So you've got that. So I want to go to this sheet. Is there anybody on this call that's new that does not have the sheet that would like it?
I need it.
Okay, so make a
same
note.
here.
Let's see here. Give me a second, I'll show you. I think. Here we go. This is where you go to get it. Denny
Oh, okay.
Grimes Mastermind.
I'll be on it today.
Go to that Facebook page, Denny Grimes Mastermind. It's on the right and the left. Download it. It's notice here. I'm going to go right here. It is non-branded, and there's a place there for your sellers to initial.
Oh, okay.
There's two things I want to make sure you understand on this, and the experienced agents get this, although we get sometimes lazy. A listing taken is a listing sold, generally speaking, in this marketplace, which is awesome. That's not always the case. However, the quickest way to lose a listing once you finally get one is not to service it properly. And as someone wisely said, one of my mantras when it comes to working with sellers, you set expectations, you don't set prices. This sheet is so important that I think it should be in your listing presentation. I'm going to give you the narrative to go over it and the logic behind it. And I want you to act like a seller in this scenario. I probably have to log off about 10 minutes or 5 minutes early because I've got another Zoom call with the market center. I want you to be a seller. Or what would a seller ask or say as you go over the sheet? Now let's really look quickly, and I'm going to turn the camera over and I'm going to go over here and draw a picture for you in just a second. 3 outcomes, and I've done this long enough to know that there aren't any other outcomes. Well, technically it can expire, they can withdraw, you could expire, you could withdraw too. However, when it comes to the property, there's only 3 outcomes. Outcome number one is low to no showings. And here's the thing. Just did it again, but I caught myself. The thing I want you to learn from this is this. It says receives little action, low to no showings. You do not say no showings, because would it be an indication of the marketability of the home if you list it and maybe you have 1 or 2 showings and then 3 or 4 weeks go by and nothing happens? Now the seller is hanging on to think, well, we had showings. So low to no showings. If you have a listing right now, and unless you just modified the price today or yesterday, and you have low to no showings, that means basically the bait is too high. Have you ever had a seller say to you, maybe you've had it on the market for a month, there's been no showings, and if you don't go over this with them up front, they're going to say, well, how do you know it's overpriced? Because you haven't brought anybody to see it. Have you ever had a seller say to you, well, you know, people can always make an offer? That's a common go-to phrase because sellers many of them haven't been selling houses in the last 10 years. And what's happened in the last 10 years is that the market has become efficient and buyers, and we've made shopping for a home too easy. Let me explain to you why you can't have a home overpriced and expect a buyer just to, you know, come see your home and make an offer on it. And that is this. When buyers set up their search criteria on the internet, they're on a portal, and all they have to do is go to bed. Once they set it up on the portal, and they check their portal a couple times a day. If a new listing comes in, it falls into their basket. It's kind of like training Pavlov's dog. They wait for the cookie. They don't have to really hunt for it. Now they might, however, the cookies find the sellers. And so what's happened because of this, they don't have to go out and shop, spend hours looking and driving everywhere. They can shop from their computers. The criteria for them to accept the home enough to make an offer has gone from this wide to that wide. That's why they don't make an offer. And that's why if you have a listing with low to no showings, the only thing that can be done is price. Any pushback on that? Any questions on that?
What is the signature on the bottom for?
Awesome, you asked a good question. Because I make sure sellers sign or initial this at the listing, that we've had the conversation. I have noticed that sometimes sellers develop amnesia after the listing agreement. They say, oh yeah, we'll change it. When outcome number one, we'll change the price, blah, blah, blah. And then when 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later come by, oh no, I'm not gonna do it.
Denny, do you get sellers pushing back saying, it's not the price of my house, it's your marketing. You must not be doing a good job marketing it.
Great question. So we can handle that right now. So who was that just said that? I didn't see.
James.
James. All right. James, so, well, here's the thing now, James. Let me ask you this. How would you know if an agent's doing a good job marketing or not? Now I'm demonstrating to you guys the question-based scripts that I practice. How would you know if my marketing is doing a good job or not?
I think you'd be getting people coming in the house.
Okay. And what might happen before people come in the house?
They would look at the pictures of the house.
They would look online, right?
Right.
And if they would look online, and you had a lot of people looking online, and they don't take the time to make an appointment to walk through your house, do you think that's a marketing issue or a positioning issue?
No, very good. Okay, so it's probably the positioning.
And here's the thing, if you go over this form at the listing time and you get them to buy in, that's why they initial it, because they might not want to remember the conversation. And so all we have to do, and hey, look, it's just us guys. If people are looking online and saying no, what's the problem?
Price.
Right.
Come on, you guys are way too nice. What else could it be?
Bad pictures.
Don't agree.
Pictures? How it's
Bad
presented?
pictures. Oh my gosh. If you're having a bad day, just go to your MLS and look at some of the photos online, and that'll cheer you up, right? It'll make you laugh. So, listen, are bad pictures stopping houses from selling with multiple offers today?
Nah.
No, not if they're priced right.
Exactly. Have you seen beautiful homes with great photography? I mean, super duper glossy stuff, virtual tours that basically are 3D. Have you seen all the bells and whistles on some of these listings and they're not selling? And yet a duplex that basically has one black and white shot with a car in the driveway with oil spilling down the driveway sells. So it's not the pictures. Now, again, I think from a marketing standpoint, there's three things that we probably have to have spot on right to be blameless with a seller. If you want to write this down, that's three initials. The three initials are ACE, ACE. A stands for accurate information. Now, it's possible that we could have a mistake in our listing description that would keep it from falling into someone's bucket. Like, for example, they wanted a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and you put it in as a 2-bedroom, 4-bath. Might that keep the right number of eyeballs off that?
For sure.
Yeah,
So
heartbeat.
when I meet with a seller, I tell them there's three things we're going to be spot on right. And I'm going to give you the analogy in a second. One is accurate information. Believe me, some of your sellers are going to love this because we actually, before we launch it, we let them go over how it's going to look to the public. And, the engineers, I've had sellers, drives us crazy, as you can imagine, work on the syntax of the description or comma there. Can you do this? However, you got to do that. One of the analogies I use when I'm sitting with a seller is that, listen, if you go into a great steakhouse, maybe in California you can't do that because maybe not meat eaters. When you go into a great tofu place or something, I'm just having fun with you. When you go to a great steakhouse, what do they do when they lay the steak down in front of you in the plate? What do they ask you to do?
Check the temperature.
There you go. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to ask you to check the temperature of the listing. And I even go a step further because the A stands for accurate information. The C stands for accurate information, a compelling description. Although that's the second letter, it's not as important as the next one. I have an example that I show in another presentation I do, you guys, of a house that was burned down. They went in there and took everything out, all the interior walls, flooring. It was concrete block wall with no trusses, no roof. The concrete block walls were charred, and the only words in the description the agent put was a real fixer-upper. Are the words important? They are to the seller. The E is one I want to talk about. That's engaging photography. And my script with my sellers were this. Just like in a good steakhouse, we're going to ask you to check the temperature. When we have this listing ready, no, not you. When we have your house, not home, ready to launch to the public, I'm going to ask you to check the temperature. I want you to look at it, I want you to look at the detail, make sure I'm accurately represented. I want you to read the description. Are we accurately portraying your home? And the last thing I'd like you to do, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is I want you to look through the photography. And you know what? I'll know we've got it right if I can see kind of your eyes start to water up and the tears start to roll down your face because you're thinking, why am I giving up such an awesome home? Because if I can invoke that emotion in you, I can invoke it into a buyer. Now just stop and think about that for a moment. Is that not showing their home respect? Now some of that, it's all true. However, it will sell anyway if the price is right. So I want you to know that price is everything. It's not location. Location is mitigated by price. Conditions mitigated by price. I'm going to stop sharing here a second because I want to show you something. Let's see. I have to go on presenter views. Oh my, I'm gonna make sure you're seeing this right. Okay. It doesn't matter if you see me. I want to show you this. This is that slide, and all this can be available if you want it. This is my listing presentation, by the way, too. So that's dollars. And let's just assume that's what?
Hey, Denny, really quick, what was the E in ACE again?
Engaging photography.
Engaging. Okay, thank you.
You bet. Can you see that okay, guys?
Yes.
So here's the thing. So someone be a seller with me just for a second. Then I'm going to sit back and talk to the group because I got about 10 minutes. Who would like to be my seller?
I'll do it.
And who is that?
Eli.
Thank you, Eli. All right, so it's Eli, let me add this graph. This is how we work. Here's a dollar continuum, and basically every property has a top dollar. Now I'm stepping out of the role play just for a second to talk to you guys as agents. I'm telling you with all the level of experience I have, and I've talked to many, many experienced agents, and I believe it's solidly true. This top line right here, top dollar, is not determinable by a CMA. I don't believe you can determine the top dollar until you expose it to the market. Is there any disagreement, pushback, question on that fact? Because that's paramount, you guys.
Makes sense.
Anybody, you all agree? Just give me a thumbs up.
Yep.
All right. Then some agents feel like the seller's gonna look less on them because they're saying, well, if you don't know where top dollar is, listen. If you were a professional fishing guide and you've been fishing on the same lake for 15 years, do you know where the fish bite? Yeah. However, just because they were biting there yesterday on this type of bait, does that mean they're going to be there tomorrow? Absolutely not. However, a good fishing guide can find it. So, Eli, going back to you. This is top dollar. And my first question to you, Eli, answered any way you want. What's more important to you, selling fast or putting more money in your pocket?
Putting more money in my pocket.
Awesome. Well, if we don't know where the line is here, then the next decision we have to make is, do you want to miss it here, and we'll just call that point A, or miss it here, point B? Because in point A, if we're too high, what's our remedy?
You can take it down.
We can inch it down, right? What happens here in point B, Eli?
You're not going to be able to bring it up.
No, you'll sell it here, and this right here, this distance between top dollar and that point B is lost equity. That's money you left on the table. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, now here's my level of CMAs. I don't do a CMA. I will do a one-line sheet and say, look, the homes in your neighborhood, and then look at the comparables. There's 340 and 360 and 320. That's basically where the fish were biting yesterday. And I don't care, be unrealistic. In fact, I'd be anything you want. I'll play it a couple different ways because I got a few minutes here. With that being said, where would you want to position your home?
Well, based off what I see in reality, people are, if that was the comps, they would put their house up at 400.
So you would want to list it at 400?
Yeah.
All right. So 400. Would you agree that 400 is above every other comp there?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to come over here and talk to you guys. Is that realistic? Can you have a seller that maybe want to be a little aggressive in this market?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they see it as an opportunity. They say, hey, listen, there's high demand. We know houses are selling.
All right. So then here's my script, guys. So Eli, I'm going to go to motivation. Tell me why you want to move. Where are you moving?
We see we got a lot of money out of our house, and we're gonna go get a bigger house. So we're just gonna try to make as much money as we can out of this one, and then put down for a bigger one.
Now, I'm not going to take the time. However, I'm going to drill there enough to understand, well, tell me about the bigger house. What's it going to do? How's your family going to think about that? You know, they're going to have the kids have their own rooms. Understand their motivation to a level for their emotion. And write this down, please, because this is really important. I'm going to make sure I say it before we have to go. If I have a seller with motivation, I won't walk away from it on price. If I have a seller that is motivated, I will not walk away on price, on the initial price.
Okay.
You all understand that?
Mhm.
Yes.
So, Eli, you're at $400,000. So let me ask you this question. What will you do if the market says no? That's a script, you guys. What will you do if the market says no?
The market says no.
Yep.
Well, if I'm selling it myself, I can inch it down because I have more leeway. If I'm paying an agent, I'm going to try to keep it higher because I'm losing another 3%.
So you say you would inch it down? Did I hear you right?
I would inch it down, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have to be stupid not to, because if I can't sell my house, I can't sell it.
So are you prepared to move forward with me today at $400,000?
Well, no, because 400,000 minus 3% if I work with you today.
Are you saying you're expecting a net $400,000?
Well, yeah, if I have to inch it down $10,000, I'm still expecting to net 390. If I go with you, I'm gonna be, what's 3 times 4 is $12,000.
Are you saying you're a for sale by owner now?
Yeah.
Oh, now you're changing the rules on me. I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, because when you spoke about what price I wanted, I'm thinking for sale by owners usually overpricing their houses now based off what I'm seeing on Zillow.
I can do that next time. However, in the time I have, I can't unpack that all and put a bow on it. Let's just say you want to sell, you're going to list, and you want to list with me.
Just looking for an agent? Okay.
No, well, yeah, you want to list. It says so. Basically, if you're going to list it, if we agree today to list it at $400,000, you're ready to move forward with me, right?
Yes.
One of the big differences, you guys, is this. I will have one more conversation. I'm going to get the commitment for the listing. Now, some people might, and this is the way they work. They're going to go and get into an arm wrestling contest and go back to the comps. Well, everything's down here. Are you smoking sweet and low? What's going on with you? And attempt to get them to get the more competitive price. For me, I'm going to get the listing first. Here's the thing. Can you say for 100% certainty, anybody on here, Eli, and you got the mic on, that it won't sell at 400?
Yeah, it probably won't. But will you tell them when you're signing with them that, hey, I'm listing it at 400,000, but also show them that fishing pond and say, I'm going to list it at 400,000 and I'm going to market it for you. But you have to understand that you're dealing, at the end of the day, you are dealing with a market. So there is only 3 outcomes that will come out of this property.
That's it. Yes. That's exactly why I'm having this conversation now, because this is the conversation that takes you to the 3 outcome sheet. Well, Eli, here's the thing. If it sells for 400, you'll be happy, right?
Yeah.
And I'll win too, because it's a better price, right?
Yes.
However, it's the market that makes the market. It's the market that makes the market. So we have to listen to what the market says. And there's only 3 outcomes. You know what they are. Now you're going to go through the sheet. So Eli, we're going to have a weekly call, and after the end, every Monday, let's say at 2:00, set that on your calendar. I recommend it when you have listings, you have the same time every week, and you have that call. So it's 1 week. It's 1 week. It's been on the market. We've had no showings. Eli, what outcome are we at?
We're at the low to no showing outcome right now.
And remember, we talked about what's the remedy?
Yeah, we're going to have to move the price down.
All right. So are you ready? Are you ready to reposition?
I guess so, yes.
Or what might they say?
No, I want to give it a little more time.
Okay. Let me ask you then, how long are you willing to take the wrong medicine before you're ready to take the right medicine?
Nice. I'm writing that down. Yeah. That's great, Denny.
How long am I really? Until it starts hurting me.
Okay. Now, the one thing that I'll have a conversation with them on the listing table is this. Listen, we both win if it sells at 400. However, there's risk in doing that. Would you like to know what the risk is?
Yes.
Have you ever been on a roller coaster?
Yep. A few times.
And as you're moving up, you're hearing that click, 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 click. What happens when the clicking stops?
Drops.
Drop.
The market changes direction. And we're in a kind of an uncertain environment, correct? I mean, it looks good now. However, things can change on a dime in this market. So my understanding, by being aggressive up front, you may win. However, the clicking may stop. And when that happens, all bets are off. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. And if that point the seller still refuses to accept that, what would be your approach?
It's no different than the dentist telling me I should get my tooth fixed. And if you don't, it's going to break sometime. And when it breaks, you're not going to be happy. When it breaks, you go, nah, 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 nah. That's what you do to the seller. You don't really do that. I mean, they're going to remember you had that conversation, right?
Right.
If they want to go down a different path than really the right price, as long as we're professionals, you warn them there's a risk in doing that because the market could slip out from under them. And the most important question I ask them, what are you going to do if the market says no? If they say, well, I don't need to sell, here's the thing. If they have no motivation and they're going to be unrealistic, refer to someone you want to get, somebody you don't like. Because most likely, I learned a long time ago that if you're going to make zero, on a commission check, the sooner you find out about it, the better. However, I'm going to close with this, you guys, and you can share your ahas. Do not walk away from motivation. Take the listing. Just don't set the price, set the expectations, and one of three outcomes will happen. When you have that, that's why that sheet is the most important listing form on the planet. If you use that right, you can always be blameless. Everything I attempt to do is to be blameless. It's not my DNA on their decisions. I'm advising them like a doctor. I think you should go get that checked. I think you should get an MRI. I don't drive you in my car over there to do it. So, what'd you hear today that was worthwhile?
Well, this sheet itself is, I just put it into my desktop. I'm going to put it into my listing presentation. It really just shows it so simply, so simple.
Thank you. I say a question.
And Denny, where do we
selling too low?
Where do we find that sheet again?
Denny Grimes
Okay.
Mastermind, I think. Isn't that right, Eli?
Yeah, it's in, yeah, on the Facebook page.
Yeah, Denny Grimes Mastermind.
Okay, thank you.
Or is it Denny Delivers Mastermind?
Denny Grimes.
Denny Grimes Mastermind.
All right, awesome.
Facebook group.
Really quick, and I got to run. What about selling too low, list price expecting multiple offers? Okay, go over here just for a second. I'm going to show you this. Last thing I'm going to say, and we'll have a conversation about it next week if you want. When you have a home, can you see this okay?
Yeah, now it's good.
So when you have a home that goes on the market and get multiple offers, are you above or below the blue line?
Below.
Yes. And so what happens if you take a home that's worth $300,000 and you list it for 20 bucks?
Probably got a lot of offers.
Yeah, and a bid up, right?
Yeah.
My theory, and I don't know this for sure, this is just my theory, that in an upward moving market, it's going like that. I believe that just because you get multiple offers and you bid it up, doesn't necessarily always guarantee you sold it above that line. You may have, I haven't figured out a way to prove it. Here's my logic. Listen to this real quick. Do you see where you basically give the seller the benefit of the doubt? In an upward moving market, you're not having a lot of risk, like it's not going down. You can see how this message, this conversation with the seller would be more palatable than you attempting to get him to list down here when he wants 400. Hey, listen, if we're wrong, the market will tell us it's wrong. And you guys quit worried about all that feedback crap. Asking agents what they think about the price. The other agents, it doesn't matter what they think about the price. The market will tell you. The market only knows one word, that's yes or no. It knows no, it acts on yes. So if the market's saying no, 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 no to your seller, the only way to change that is reposition. Blue Angel Air Show in the backyard, Toby Keith concert on the pool deck's not going to help it. All right, I got to run, you guys. Was that worthwhile?
Yes.
Great job.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
very much so.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being on, and I'll
Thank
see you
you.
on Tuesday.
Take care.
Thank you, Denny.
Thank you, Danny.